Water health has been a very interesting journey for me personally and for most of the people who have been part of this corporation over the last 10 to 12 years. I must say that it's been a roller coaster ride. There have been ups, there have been downs, there have been highs, there have been lows, there have been wins, there have been losses. But all in all, not 1 second or 1 minute of this journey was lacking interest or adventure. It has been a very adventurous and a very, very interesting journey for all of us. And it continues to be like that even as we now step into new sets of business lines and operations going forward over the next a decade or so. As you're aware, this company sets up community water system businesses, which was established almost 12 years ago, starting from India. And subsequently, we expanded our operations in Africa and various parts of India. Briefly, we were also present in Philippines for some time, and also Bangladesh and Liberia. But we realized that some of these markets were still very new and very nascent insofar as water purification business was concerned. And therefore, we chose to give them some more time before we would exit it or enter it again at a future date. So that's generally at a broad level what the company has been doing over the last so many years. What we did review very closely during the initial years of inception of the company was to define what do we exist for and what do we want to do. And we laid out our mission statement as very clearly focused on serving the underserved communities globally by providing them services, especially clean and safe water, at affordable price. Now, that was the bedrock of our entire game plan when we started over 10 years ago, laying down very clear contours of our mission statement. And like everybody else, we thought that underserved communities, by the very definition, are fundamentally confined to rural areas and the poor people who can't afford clean and safe water. Nothing could be far from truth. As we became more evolved and as we started learning more about the market and becoming more ingrained with the customers and the catchments that we are serving, we realized that underserved communities don't necessarily exist only in the rural and the remote areas of the country. They are also present as central as the urban cities and the metro cities of India, and those communities, as we popularly call them, the slums and other underserved communities, are also as much should be a recipient of the clean and safe water as the rural communities which are remote and fundamentally poor. So that is something that we realized, and therefore we morphed our model to start focusing on these communities as well, so that we are true to the basic nature of the mission of the company. So over the last 3 to 5 years, we have reinvented or rediscovered the segments that fundamentally were underserved in the urban centers. So much so that today we even believe that the companies and the corporates are also underserved from the standpoint that they are relying on plastic as a mechanism for receiving clean and safe water to their premises. And we believe even that from an environmental perspective is disastrous. So therefore they are underserved from that perspective, and we would like to even serve them better. But the bottom line continues to be that we provide everything affordably. So even to the corporates who can afford to pay a significant amount of money for clean and safe water, we would continue to stay true to our basic core of providing water affordably. So that's something that we do as far as the mission statement of the company is concerned. As far as the company WaterHealth is concerned, I think the WaterHealth demonstrates and is at a cusp of two distinct worlds. You have the corporate or the commercial world on one side, and then you have the social world on the other side. So what WaterHealth does is it kind of merges these two worlds and tries to pick up the best practices from both the worlds in a fashion that it is able to straddle whatever can be learned from one world and the other. And we have tried to fuse these two best practices and objectives very clearly inside WaterHealth. So whenever need be, we can be as commercial and as corporate as any corporate company, and when there is need, we can be as social and philanthropic as there need be. And we ensure that we pick up the best practices from both the worlds, and that is kind of a bedrock of the culture that we have tried to inculcate in the company over the last so many years. As far as the mission statement or the vision statement of the company is concerned, the mission statement or the goal that we are trying to serve is to serve 100 million consumers by 2022. We laid this out sometime in the year 2010-11, almost 8-9 years ago, and at that point of time, pursuing or chasing such an audacious target seemed almost insurmountable. And at some point of time, we used to joke internally and say, have we bitten more than what we can chew? But what happens is, once you have the intent, then the universe conspires to provide you all the support and the building blocks to meet your end goal. And over time, what we have realized is that when we laid this goal out for us, we were barely serving a few 100,000 people. Today, we are very close to providing access to about 10 million people. And the 100 million, though difficult, does not appear to be out of bounds or as insurmountable as it used to. And part of the reason is, one, we have become better in growth and scalability. And two, when you break down a big task into smaller, palatable objectives, then it becomes that much easier because you take one step at a time. And that's what we have done progressively over the last 10 to 11 years in WaterHealth in order to build our momentum and trajectory towards the end goal that we want to chase by reaching and serving, providing access to about 100 million people globally. When we break down an audacious task or a goal into smaller and palatable tasks, then it becomes far more easier to conclude and chase. And that is something that we did ourselves in WaterHealth. So we realized that the goal at hand was fairly steep and fairly audacious. And we had to break it down into smaller parts or smaller pieces that could be executed. And in line with that pursuit, what we realized was that if we can get access or a unilateral ability to have or sign contracts with major municipalities or the urban local bodies of India, then in one city itself, we could have several million people residing, and therefore that will help or pave the way for us to reach closer and quicker to the end objective of serving or providing access to 100 million people by the year 2022. To that extent, some of our major wins that we have been able to acquire recently include that of Bangalore municipality, Gurgaon municipality, and also Nagpur. And there are at least a dozen other key potential orders in the pipeline with major municipalities of India that we believe will be addressing and closing in on over the next few months. Now, this in itself is a testimony to the fact that we have been able to draw down and create a template that can be replicated for multiple municipalities across the country. Because what we do is we support and supplement the existing infrastructure of providing clean, safe water by a given municipality by setting up community water systems in that particular city. And that community water system, be it a water health center or a water vending machine, do provide the requisite amount of alternatives at an affordable price to the community members across the concession term, which generally lasts anywhere from 15 to 25 years. So that has been the bedrock of our philosophy or plan as far as reaching our mission statement of serving or providing access to 100 million people by 2022 is concerned. And finally, as an organization, what do we aspire to do? See, one of the key aspirations that we have as a company is to be execution driven. And in order to be execution driven, in fact, we always say that our strategy is execution. And what we try to do is focus very strongly on our ability to execute and drive things, because we believe, having the experience of being present in so many communities over so many years, we possibly have a fairly good handle on what is required for us to succeed and scale. I think this no longer is a challenge for us as far as the planning for scalability is concerned. And therefore, a natural corollary of that is that we need to then figure out a way to execute. So most of the times, or the culture that is very heavily is sensed by people who come to the company is execution orientation. So we are a very strongly execution driven corporation. We ensure that whatever we take upon us, we execute flawlessly, month on month, year on year, without any leeway whatsoever with regard to quality or repetitiveness of our outcome. So that's very heavily and central to the way we conduct ourselves or operate in this company, and which then leads to our final need for what is it that is the only need that we need to pursue possibly throughout our lifetime going forward. WaterHealth, unlike the new generation companies, is not an asset light company. It's an asset heavy company, because we believe that we are creating infrastructure and assets for the company which will last 15, 20, 25 years, not only in India, but also in Africa. So therefore, for any company which is asset heavy, there is an inherent need to raise capital. And it's like this machine that we have created, which needs to run perpetually, and its engine or the fuel is the capital that can go into allowing it to expand and sustain and scale, and that comes from the capital. So we are almost perpetually in a state of raising capital from multiple sources, because we contribute in our mind considerably to nation building, because our assets outlive or will outlive the lives of so many other people in the countries that we are present in currently. And with that hope, we believe that once this company has run for several decades, it leaves for itself an imprint in the minds of the people and the nations it serves, an ability and the confidence that the infrastructure we have set up will last forever and for posterity. Thank you very much.